Believe it or not, Dino Squad is one of the more underrated series when it comes to, I guess you could say, dinosaur fandoms. And in all honesty, I can understand why. It wasn't really entertaining when I watched it. And from a scaling perspective, they really don't get any higher than wall level. They barely even do much as their dino forms anyway to really make it entertaining or actiony for kids here. But today we're gonna give them, I guess you could say, a royal treatment here. What if the Dino Squad was in Godzilla the series, a series that actually lives up to the hype of its predecessor, actually succeeds its predecessor, honestly. So yeah, let's talk about it here. Now, what would be the purpose of the Dino Squad in this series, and how would they, I guess you could say, function as a whole? Well, I think the Dino Squad would actually be a military grade experiment to basically be like an anti-kaiju task force working with heat. Now, this means Maxwell, Fiona, Buzz, Roger, and Irwin would all be, I guess you could say, teenagers or pre-adults that signed up for this program. Okay, and they would be tasked with being able to either contain, capture, or flat out kill some of the mutants here. Now, again, I don't think they would really be able to do that unless they're mutated with the DNA or at least the radiation that the mutants have been exposed to. Keep in mind that in Godzilla the series, the highest form of scaling that this verse has, at least in my opinion, is planetary. This because Zilla scales above a monster named Medusa, who was able to metabolize all of Earth's water, and he pretty much got stronger than that monster as the series progressed. And even as the episode progressed here, he was actually hitting harder than fusion core missiles, which is absolutely ridiculous here. Now, the Dino Squad's purpose would definitely be the more muscle division of heat, which I actually believe should have been a scientific division for, mutations and stuff like that. And heat in the military being able to work together with the Dino Squad, or at least the Dino Squad in heat, finding a way to pretty much balance themselves and work together, should honestly be able to benefit probably benefit humanity, honestly. I think there could be some good interactions between Maxwell and Nick. Fiona and Randy would actually be a funny one, because he would probably try to hit on her, and then she turns into her Spinosaurus form, and that would actually be very interesting. But it's very possible that the team would basically be there to keep a check on Zilla Jr. It may be even a couple of occasions, or maybe their introduction is them fighting against Zilla Jr. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I don't think they're really going to win that. Miniature sized versus a monster versus a kaiju. Sorry, miniaturized dinosaurs versus a kaiju that could literally hit monsters that weigh metric tons through buildings like it's absolutely nothing. Now, again, I do think they would actually play a good role and a good benefit in a lot of things, such as the Tachyon invasion. I think they would get a lot of shine. Even in the, beginnings of it, when they first met the Tachyons, I think that this would actually be where they captured their first monster, rather than in the Monster Wars trilogy, where they basically had a part one through three in the Godzilla the series. And I think the monster they would capture would be from the Tachyons, as they have mutated dinosaurs that they found to their liking. And honestly, this means that I think Dino Squad would have their first capture being the Cryptoclydus. Now, do I think that they would find some way to pretty much capture it? Yeah, I actually do believe that. Because again, they would have a lot more access to the military tech here, rather than how Heat does. Heat does believe that they'll just be able to kill the monsters and call it a day, leaving Zilla Jr. as the only good monster on the world, or at least good monster on the planet. But at the end of the Monster Wars trilogy, they realized that, yeah, the mutants could definitely do some good. And I think it would be one of those occasions where the Cryptoclydus would be the first monster to be captured and put on the pretty much the newly made Monster Island. Monster Island would probably come earlier due to the Dino Squad. And maybe even Nessie. I actually think they would find a way to probably move Nessie out of the Loch Ness, so that she could probably be better taken care of, along with her baby as well. So this means that Monster Island would probably have a lot more kaiju than than normal here. Now, as for the abilities of the Dino Squad, I really wouldn't know. Maybe they would have some elemental manipulation. I definitely think Fiona Spinosaurus would definitely be good with electricity. Maxwell's Tyrannosaur may even have like a miniature fire breath. Buzz could probably have super speed. Roger, again, incredible super strength. Maybe he's able to throw down with other kaijus in a physical fight despite his small size. And Erwin, I would actually give him a porcupine ability. You know, where he's able to like shoot his spikes out and they're able to penetrate through like kaiju hide and stuff. Yeah, I think that would be pretty good here for the team. I actually think that they would benefit greatly from being irradiated dinosaurs. Now, would they turn into giant virgins? Like I said earlier, I would actually have them not do that. I think it would be better if they would be a spin-off series for Godzilla the series, obviously, right? Now, what I would have them is they would actually be they would actually be against the more, I guess you could say, kaiju activist group that constantly tries to invade Monster Island and tries to, you know, free the kaiju. But again, I do think there are some ways they could probably write that to make it better. Maybe having someone who thinks the kaiju should be free or the mutation should be free, and then they wind up, you know, causing mass havoc, and then the Dino Squad has to clean it up. I also think the Dragmas would be a very interesting episode, especially in the future, where you could probably have like Maxwell and Colonel Hicks, and maybe even the doctor who created them would actually survive, meaning that he could find a way to pretty much end the Dragmas in the future and then go back in time so that they really just don't have this happen. And in all honesty, I don't really see a reason why not. I mean, there's way too many benefits to having the Dino Squad in Godzilla the series as a whole. Now, as for I guess what really I guess in all honesty what they would really contribute to the series, I guess it would just give it a bit more diversity, a bit more, I guess you could say, a bit more lore, if you will, here. And I definitely think they would probably be shocked that some of these kaijus could use abilities, such as the swamp monster being able to cloak itself or disappear repeatedly, the Strewster being able to make hurricanes and tornadoes. And I actually think the season would have continued on to, honestly, great lengths with the Dino Squad there. Or maybe the Mighty Mutants. You never know what they could be called here. And in all honesty, I think this means a lot more, I guess you could say a lot more mutations might survive, or maybe somebody will make themselves into a mutation to give the Dino Squad a much harder time, right? I mean, you had the Armadillo kaiju, or the armadillo, or the mutated armadillo, which in all honesty, in my opinion, was a very good kaiju. I love the concept of, you know, a giant armadillo monster, you know, a giant armored monster that can just roll or burrow and attack people, you know, kind of like a Pokemon move where they use rollout just to like nail their opponents. So yeah, in all honesty. Now, as for like villains and stuff, the Tachyons, obviously, but I think maybe I know there is a Velociraptor as a villain for this one, and he's like a billionaire businessman, so maybe they could try something like that. But I know they had the same thing in the series where Nick has a much more successful rival, but he wants the mutations because he sees Nick as a bigger success because of Zilla Jr. And I actually think this could work out for the series, as a whole. Now, oh my gosh, I actually just figured out the Lizard Slayers. That's funny. So the Lizard Slayers were a team in Godzilla the series that were actually made to, well, fight against and counter Godzilla. And I actually think that would be good for the Dino Squad to be kind of like Godzilla's bodyguards in a way, to where he could probably live maybe a much more successful and natural life here. I do think there would be some, probably more mechs as well with the Dino Squad. I mean, working with the military, knowing that these kaiju could pose a threat to humanity if they were released. Honestly, yeah, I think the Dino Squad could benefit from that. But in all honesty, I think that pretty much does it here. I know this video is short, but in all honesty, it's a pretty easy and simple what if for me. Now, yeah, they would have some struggles, and if they were honestly in the verse naturally with what they came into, they would honestly die instantly. They don't really have the feats to suggest they can hang with someone that's gonna like planet bust, or even being a, even scaling to the meteor that hit the dinosaurs. They don't really have that kind of scaling as a whole here. But overall, that's really all I have to say here, you guys. I think the Dino Squad would be a very great, what's the word I'm looking for? A very great addition to Godzilla the series. And yeah, the series was enjoyable to a degree here, but it's not in the same lengths as I hold things like Dinosaur King and other dinosaur series as a whole. But hey, let me know what you guys think down below. Please comment, like, and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.